Okay, we're recording. Hello, everyone. So tonight we are talking about momentum, which I'm actually really excited about because I think as we go into the end of the year, this is something that not only do we kind of need to talk about now to get ahead of the end of the year slump, but it's just going to be really helpful for us like going forward into the end of the year and then even starting the next year off on the right foot. And so what we're talking about is not only some tips on how we can each gain momentum in our business, but then how we can protect that momentum in our business. And then that's what I'm talking about. And then Kim's going to come on and she's going to talk about something that the two of us do that we really feel like helps us with the momentum and maintain our momentum is really scheduling out our month, which I think a lot of you guys might actually do unintentionally just because if you like you're on challenge groups with us or you kind of run on our challenge group schedule, we do it very intentionally as we schedule out our month. And so she'll kind of explain the strategy behind it that we really adopted from Melanie Mitro, who is the top coach in Beachbody for like the last 2 years. And so she kind of knows what she's doing. And so we've implemented that into our team. And so hi, Pris, and hi, Maggie. It's so nice to see you guys. So when we're talking about momentum, before I even talk about different like action items of what we can do to build the momentum in our business, I just kind of wanted to go through a couple points just talking about momentum in our business. You know, one of the first things that I think it's really important for all of us to recognize is that it takes work. You know, I mean, we've all been doing this a little bit, or if you are a new coach watching the playback of this, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is something that takes a lot of work to build our business, and then it takes a lot of work to continue the momentum in our business once we've built it. And so I think that one of the most important things we can do, even before going to start to talk about like how can we start building this momentum, is just recognizing that building this business takes work. Building momentum in our business takes work. And so if you're feeling like it's hard, just know that you're not alone, that that's a normal thing. But I don't want you to give up. You know, we're going to be talking about the 4 vital behaviors tonight, and I know that you might have just like had a moment where you thought, oh, again, like we talk about the 4 vital behaviors so much. But in a couple minutes, I'm going to talk about why they're so important. But in one of the books that I've read called The Slight Edge, he talks about how, you know, some of the things that are the easiest things to do are also the easiest things to not do. You know, we hear about the 4 vital behaviors and we feel like, yeah, we get it. Like invite people. We need to be adding friends in our to our network every day as part of like the inviting, right? We need more people to invite. We need to just be having these conversations. We need to be posting on social media. These are things that are pretty easy. They're pretty easy to skip in the same way that they're pretty easy to do. And so just know that even though they seem easy, it's so important to stay consistent with them, which we're going to go into in a couple minutes. The second thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of momentum is, you know, we need to apply the same principles that we apply to our fitness journey to our business journey. This is something that I heard from a speaker called Josh Coates, who is one of my faves right now. And I listened to a call that when he was talking about like a recruiting mindset, but he was talking about, you know, so often in our fitness journey and as coaches, when we're coaching other people in their fitness journey, we have all of these really great principles, right? We talk about the importance of being consistent. We talk about, you know, like when you're ready to quit, remember why you started. One of my favorite sayings is like, if you kind of sort of commit to your program, you're only going to kind of sort of see results. Another thing that I say is like, if you only work out on days when you feel good, like you're really never going to work out. You know, like, and these are all sayings that are really great principles to apply to our fitness journey. But why is it that we don't also apply the same principles to our business journey? You know, when you want to quit or you want to skip your workout or you want to, you know, like you remember why you started. And then in your business, when you want to skip your vital behaviors, when you want to skip your power hour, when you kind of want to just give up, you need to remember why you started becoming a coach in the first place. When you're getting ready to skip these like steps that we know are key to our business, in the same way that we get upset, I do, when I have people who commit to their program and they're all excited and they have such great reasons as to like why they want to be in it. And then they like kind of fall off, right? Like they're not consistent. They're not drinking their Shakeology every day. They're kind of sort of doing the nutrition plan, but like really doing like the 80-20, but more so like in the flip fashion. It's like 80% of the time, it's like mixed eats, and like 20% of the time they're like, oh wow, you know, like I used the containers and it was awesome, you know. They don't really do their workouts every day, or they don't increase their weights, and then those people are then also the same people who are complaining, you know, like this program doesn't work. You know, like I didn't see the results that you promised me. I didn't see the results that everyone else was getting. So like, I'm just going to give up and not finish this program. And I want to shape those people, because I just want to say, you know, if you followed it, if you did like the steps, if you did everything in the way it was designed, the way that the program is laid out, you would have seen those results. And the same is true in our business journey as well. If we start slacking in certain areas, if we don't go 100%, if we don't, you know, like if we have bigger goals, if we don't increase the effort, we're not going to like reach those bigger goals, and we're going to get discouraged. But our effort needs to match our goals, you know, and we need to not skip the power hour. We need to not skip even the most smallest mundane feeling, like parts of the power hour, because those are the things that are going to add up to great results. It's the consistency, it's the small choices over time. They're going to end up helping us build momentum in our business, in the same way that those small steps, those small decisions over time help us gain momentum and results in our fitness journey. And so just starting to think of it that way, hearing him explain it on one of his calls really helped. It really made sense to me. And so I wanted to share that with you guys in case it helps it make sense to you guys too. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is when I really started doing a lot of personal development, and really started like listening to calls on like how to gain momentum in my journey, in my coach business, and, you know, like how to really get started. And, you know, because when you're trying to build the momentum, sometimes it just feels like magic. It's like, how does this even come together? You hear the 4 vital behaviors, and then you see the people getting crazy success club points, and you're wondering, like, is there something that you're not really, like, that you're missing out on, you know? Because it doesn't seem like these 4 vital behaviors really add up to, like, that number on the success club board graphic. I can tell you that they do. And I can tell you that from my own personal experience. And one of the analogies I heard when I was listening to a lot of other team calls that other coaches posted on YouTube about building momentum in your business, they talked a lot about, like, this water well analogy. And they talked about when you're pumping water out of a well, you have to keep pumping and pumping and pumping, and no water comes out at first, right? And there's 3 types of people. There are the people who are pumping and pumping and pumping, and no water comes out, so they just give up. They're like, this didn't work for me. There's obviously like no water in there. Other people who can get water. I can't get water. I'm just going to give up, right? Then there are the people who keep pushing. They keep pumping, they keep pumping, and they keep pumping, and then water starts to come out. And that water is the momentum in our business. And they get so excited that they feel like the water is just going to keep coming out, that they've like reached this like goal, like, you know, like they've got the water, that they stop pumping, and then the water stops coming out. And then there are the 3rd type of people who are pumping and pumping and pumping, and then the water keeps coming out, and they continue to pump and pump and pump, and they don't stop, and the momentum doesn't stop either. You know, and I look at that analogy and I apply it to different points in my own coach journey, and different points just in other coach journeys on our team, right? Where I look at the first one, and I've had coaches even just this week, you know, someone signed up, super excited, announced herself on Facebook last week, and then quit. I got a coach cancellation form this morning from her, and she didn't even like talk to me about it. You know, why are people so weird? But that happens. It was like, and she's like, I just had a really hard weekend and I just couldn't do it, so I quit. That's someone who started pumping, didn't see water, and then just quit. Right? And then there are the 2nd type of people in that analogy who are pumping and pumping and pumping, and they start to see water. And then as soon as they do, like, they kind of just like give up sometimes, right? Either because they're excited, or, you know, like, and then the momentum just stops, and then they get discouraged. Or even going back, when I was like practicing this in my head, I wanted to make one more note about the first person in the analogy. So I mentioned the girl who quit before she even started, but we also have people, and I've known coaches who do this, where they are pumping and pumping and pumping, and they like don't see water, and so they kind of throw their hands up. They kind of do the vital behaviors for a couple days. They do their power hour for a couple days, but as soon as something comes up, they're really quick to just like skip that power hour. You know, whether they're just tired that day, or a big project came up at work, or I was moving, or, you know, like my kids were sick, or, you know, all of these things. And of course there's grace in the process of this, right? Because we do know at the end of the day, 1 power hour miss because life circumstances came up isn't going to make or break your business. In the same way that one workout isn't going to make or break your entire fitness journey, one meal isn't going to make or break your fitness goals. We know that it's the one, it doesn't matter, but when they start adding up, it really matters. And so those people who throw their hands up and they skip their power hour, and then they're not really doing their workouts, they're not really sharing their journey on social media, and then they feel like they're pumping so hard and no water is coming out, and then they just throw their hands up, and then they stop. And then they come back later because they're like, okay, I'm going to do it this time. And they start pumping again, do power hour a couple days in a row, do their vital behaviors a couple days in a row, and they're not really seeing any momentum. No water is coming out, so they just give up again. And you guys, I will say that I think the number 2 person is like the most dangerous spot to be in, because people are following your journey on social media, whether or not they're liking or commenting on your posts. And if you are the person who's kind of coming in and out of like your journey, they're watching that too. You know, one of the things that we have to keep in mind as we're sharing our journey on social media and as we're being authentic with our journey and as we're trying to gain momentum in our journey is that we are not the only coaches in our friends' news feeds anymore. You know, and that's not something to scare us, but that's something to kind of motivate us in terms of continuing to gain this momentum in our business, to not skip our power hours, to not skip our posting, to be intentional about our posting, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, because we're not the only people in their newsfeed. So we need to be consistent. We need to keep pumping and then not stop pumping, because once we put ourselves out there, hey guys, I'm a coach, I started this journey, I'm on this journey, I want you to join me on this journey. People are watching and they're kind of comparing us to other people in their news feeds, and what's going to differentiate us is we just need to keep going and keep being ourselves and staying true to our journey and sharing our journey and not being sporadic about our journey, because no one wants to join the person that's like kind of half in it, you know, like in the same way that if you go to like a fitness class or a boot camp, you don't want to follow the instructor who's kind of half doing it or not really doing the workout, but is telling you to do the workout. You know, like you just kind of feel like I'm going to go to someone else. Like there are so many other people who are doing this. I'm going to do it to someone who looks like they're loving their journey, who's on this journey, whether or not I'm going to join them, who loves it so much that I want to be part of whatever they're doing. Be consistent and stay consistent. Just keep pumping that water well, you guys. And then let's all commit to being that third person, where we're pumping and pumping and pumping, and the water is coming out, and we're continuing to pump and pump and pump. And then the 4th point I wanted to make before I go into the 4 vital behaviors and kind of giving us actionable steps to like what the 4 vital behaviors look like in a normal day, is that we need to get over the fear. I think sometimes what's preventing us from going full force, what's preventing us from continuing to pump and pump and pump that water well and be excited about the momentum, about sending those invites, about adding those friends, about sharing our journey, what prevents us from doing that sometimes is the fear. We're afraid of objections. We're afraid of the judgments. We're afraid of the mean comments. We're afraid of like people thinking we're self-absorbed. We're afraid of so many different things. What if they ask us questions we don't have the answers to? What if they think I'm a fraud? What if they, all of these things, you know, and a couple points about that is I think one of the things we have to know is that sometimes our fear can be a little bit selfish. You know, if we are afraid of sharing our journey because of what other people are thinking, we could miss helping someone who desperately needs our help. You know, because if I think back to who I was before Beachbody, 25 pounds ago, when my pants didn't even fit anymore, like literally, I had to go all into the 21-day thing because my clothes didn't fit anymore, and it was getting colder, and I didn't have any pants that fit. Like, you know, and when I think back to that girl who had struggled with eating disorders for years, who was crying because she was so like self-conscious, who just felt trapped and like so embarrassed and so filled with shame. When I think of her, to think that I could miss helping her because I was too afraid of people judging me when I shared my journey, like drives me so much to even be more vulnerable about my journey with eating disorders and with weird cleanses and with not eating. Because I can't imagine missing helping someone who is where I was because I'm afraid that someone else is going to judge me. You know, so we need to make sure that we aren't being selfish with our fear and letting our fear keep us from helping someone who needs you to reach out and help her. You know, I wouldn't have joined this journey like without someone personally inviting me. So like we need to get over the fear of inviting people. We need to get over the fear of sharing our journey because people are going to judge us anyway. People are going to think everything that you're worried about people thinking about you, someone's going to think it, but that's no reason for you to like not live out your purpose, to not live out your dream, to not live out your goals, because someone else thinks that like, you know, we're posing funny in pictures, or like, wow, she takes a lot of selfies, you know, like they can unfollow us. It's okay. Like we're not, you know, it's totally fine for them to think whatever they want to think. Sometimes those people end up joining us because we kind of wear them down. Some of the coaches on my team have said that's what I did with them over time. So don't be fearful. Also, don't be afraid if other people, if they have objections, if they come back at you and try to combat, like if they say anything negative on your post about Shakeology or about your fitness program. Something that I was sharing with some of the girls on my team is one of the most freeing things I have done in my coach journey is like let go of being defensive about Beachbody. I let go of like the pride. Beachbody doesn't need us to defend its honor. Each of us is a success story. No one can take away the truth of what Beachbody, this community, these programs have done for us, right? So if anyone has judgments about it, if anyone has comments about it, I think we need to use them as opportunities to, one, show that our true mission as coaches is to really help people, right? Like our true mission is not to get everyone to buy Beachbody products, because I know that you can get a great program off Pinterest and go to the gym and like have great results if you're able to drive yourself and commit yourself to that program. I know that you can go do something else and get great results. It's just I needed this. And so I am speaking to anyone else who wants to try this. But if you're trying something else, I'm not going to be defensive that you didn't try what I'm doing. I'm going to be excited that you are on your journey. And I think that that mindset not only is really freeing, not only helps like get rid of so much of the fear of what we're doing, because we're not trying to position ourselves as like experts or know-it-alls, or like pride, you know, like the pride of like do what we're doing, or, you know, I don't want to talk to you, like, or I'm going to be defensive about it. But we are people who are on a mission to encourage people and inspire people on their own health and fitness journey. And it's okay if it's not with Beachbody, but of course we prefer if it is. And so that leads me into the 4 vital behaviors, which now that we've kind of covered like mindset about momentum and things going into momentum, we talked about momentum, I want to kind of go through the 4 vital behaviors again, because I feel like these are so crucial to our business. And if you're a new coach and you're watching the playback of this, or for those of us who've been doing this a little while and you know, like we're still trying to get this momentum, I think the 4 vital behaviors are always incredible to go back to, because if you don't know, these aren't just something that Beachbody pulled out of thin air. The 4 vital behaviors were created because Beachbody Corporate studied the top coaches in the business. They studied their businesses, they studied their growth, their successes. And even though each of the coaches is so different in personality, right? And even in looks and in their character, like they're so different in so many ways. They found these 4 things were common in all of their successful businesses. So that's what the 4 vital behaviors came from. So that's why if we really are people who want to build our businesses and we're passionate about building our businesses in whatever capacity, whether it's we just want to make enough money to just have a little side job, whether it's, you know, for people like me who want to do this full time one day, or whatever your goal is, if you're someone who wants to build your business in any capacity, the 4 vital behaviors need to be non-negotiables for you. And we're just following, like, let's not recreate the wheel. Let's follow what, like, the top coaches in the business have laid out for us, you know, that Beachbody has studied and done for us. Hi, Kim. And, like, let's do that, right? So if we go into the 4 vital behaviors, one thing that I always like to talk about that, like, is my, well, it's my new thing, but we're going to pretend like I've always talked about it, that, like, we're on week 2 of it, is the importance of adding value. So as I go into the 4 vital behaviors, everything needs to, like, we need to talk about the 4 vital behaviors and look at them through the lens of adding value. So number 1, inviting. And I know for me, another personal development book that you might have heard a lot about is Eat That Frog. And for me, inviting is that frog. As silly as it might sound, that's the thing that I have to do first. Otherwise, if I push it till the end of the night or the end of my power hour, it's just going to, like, keep going until tomorrow. And it's the thing that once I actually started doing it in my business, made such a difference. So inviting doesn't necessarily always mean cold inviting. It can, and I'll get to that in a minute, but not necessarily. Something um, that Kim's going to go into in a minute is one of the most important things about inviting is that you have to have something to invite to. So you have to run a challenge group every month, right? Kim and I host the Coach Sneak Peek, the happy hour every month as well. That's another thing for you guys to invite to. So make sure that when you're inviting that you have something to invite to. And then part of inviting doesn't necessarily, again, mean that you're directly inviting people all the time to your challenge groups, but part of that can be making sure your posts are consistent on social media where people know that you're on a journey and that they know that they can join your journey. And then you being prevalent in their news feeds in terms of commenting on their pictures, liking their pictures, just giving genuine compliments, like asking genuine questions, because through Facebook affinity, through Facebook's equation, you will then start showing up in their news feeds. And so they will see your other posts about your accountability groups, about your fitness journey, without you having to specifically say, hey, do you want to join my fitness journey? And that's something that's really fun because I've experienced that too. Once I've started commenting on people's stuff, and people post on Facebook or on Instagram, people post on social media because they want you to see it. So let them know that you saw it. You know, like just give a genuine compliment, and then they're going to start showing up in their news feeds. They're going to start seeing your fitness journey post, and then they might even reach out to you about it. Or when the time comes and you reach out to them directly about it later on, they've already been watching your journey, and you've already had that connection point with them a couple weeks prior that had nothing to do with Beachbody, and so they don't feel like you were just trying to sell them right away. Another thing that's super important is keep a list. I wish I had done this like starting sooner, but whether you are a computer person, whether you are a pen to paper person, keep a list of the people that you're talking to the people who you've added on Facebook who you feel like would be like interesting coach, you know, like interesting people to invite to your challenge groups or invite to the business opportunity. Keep that list of people, because even though, yes, Facebook Messenger, you can go back and see the conversations you've had with people, sometimes those messages don't live on forever. Kim and I have had experiences recently where we both mentioned that like we scrolled back to find certain messages and we couldn't find them anymore. You know, so sometimes things happen. So make sure that you're keeping a list. Also, the direct invite is key. It's scary, I know, but this is something that's been really working for me over the course of the last month. If you haven't heard me talk about it before, it's use your voice memo option on Facebook Messenger. You have a 1 minute time span. And what I've been doing, I've just been really direct and honest and I say something, I go to their Facebook, I look at what they've been doing recently and say they just got married. And I'll be like, hey, Catherine, I saw your Facebook post about your wedding, and I'll make a comment, a genuine compliment about whether it was her dress or the venue or whatever. I make a note and I just, you know, like say, hey, I saw on Facebook this. And then the transition phrase for me is, so I don't know if you've seen what I posted on Facebook, because I recognize what she's posting on Facebook. And now I'm switching to, I don't know if you've seen what I post on Facebook, but I host online fitness accountability groups every month. I kind of go into that spiel when it starts, and I would absolutely love to have her be a part of it. No pressure. Let me know if you're interested. I hope you're having such a wonderful day. Direct, less than a minute, because that's all we have on Facebook voice memo. And people have been like responding very well to that because I'm directly talking to them. I've noticed what they've been doing on Facebook. I, transition to what I've been doing on Facebook. I tell them a little bit of what it's about, and then I ask them, say no pressure. I give them the door out. And then, of course, there are so many people who don't respond, but that's why you have to keep talking to more people. And then this month, I've had people purchase who never responded to my voice memo last month, but they've been continuing to watch my fitness journey, because once you send messages, you should really start showing up in people's news feeds. And then they've been seeing my posts. They've seen that I've been consistent, and now they're ready to join my journey. So don't be afraid to directly invite people when they can hear your voice and hear how genuine you are. Like, I think it really makes a difference as opposed to just reading a Facebook message when they likely get a lot of Facebook messages from people because everyone is selling something now. So differentiate yourself with the voice memo, with having a personal touch initially, and then transitioning into what you're doing and inviting them directly. And then the last point, the two more points, continue to add friends to your network every single day, because you need more people to invite to, right? Or people to invite. So continue adding to your network every day so that you continue to have more people to talk to, more people seeing your stuff. And then the last point on that is invite people to the business opportunity directly. It's okay if you see someone who's looking for a job, if you see someone who is, just had a baby and you want to reach out to see if maybe she wants to stay home full time or whatever the case is, reach out directly with the business opportunity. Instead of getting them into a challenge group first, and of course that's an amazing way to get someone into coaching, right? Help them see results, help them experience the community. But it's also okay if you feel like they would just be an awesome coach, or you just feel like they would need this business opportunity. Reach out to them directly, let them know why you thought that they'd be great at it, and then just let them ask you for more details. You don't have to give them everything at once. We have videos that you can send them, or you can invite them to the next happy hour, depending on the timeline of when you've reached out. So you have options there. So reach directly about the business opportunity. And then the next three vital behaviors I'll go through a little more quickly. But you need to be proof that the product works. Share results pictures every single week. And they don't always have to be yours. You can share mine, share Kim's, share other people on our team, share your challengers. A lot of my challengers don't want me to share their results, so I end up just sharing other coaches' results. We're in so many groups now. If you go into Hard Hitters and you just search the Facebook page for results pictures, all of the results pictures will come up, and share those results. Just share other people's results so that people know that these work. Another thing that's been really great and really powerful is it doesn't always have to be a scale victory that you're sharing. Share things that people can relate to. One of the girls in my group just finished her first 21 days of the first 21-day fix she's ever done, and she posted it this holiday weekend. She was able to wear shorts that she hasn't been able to wear in 3 years because she didn't fit into them. That's an amazing non-scale victory. That's something people can relate to. That's something people want to experience for themselves. Has nothing to do with the scale. There was no side-by-side picture, but just that story is powerful in itself. Whether it's you have more energy, whether it's any non-scale victory, whether someone's complimenting you on how toned your arms are, whether you were able to increase your weight. Are your kids mimicking you? On one of our group texts, it was really fun to hear that some of your daughters are copying you make Shaco. What an incredible example that you're setting for your kids, that that's what they're copying, your workouts, or that you're making Shakeology. Talk about that, because that's something when you're talking about the legacy that you're leaving or the impact that you're leaving on your kids, how incredible that that's what it would be, and then personal development changes everything, you guys. Absolutely changes everything. It will change your mindset so that when those days come and you have discouraging weeks in your business, last week I lost 2 emeralds. I mentioned a little earlier today, one of my coaches just quit without even saying anything to me about it. Personal development and the momentum and continual momentum is what makes those things okay. Are they disheartening? Yes. Do you feel but more so, I feel sad for those people because I know what they're missing out on. More so than I feel like it just broke my entire business. So it's just important to be doing the personal development. It's important for us to continue growing as leaders as we are inviting people to grow with us. We don't want people to outgrow us who join us on our journey. So we need to continue growing and learning and growing our confidence, growing our leadership skills, learning more how to gain our momentum. It helps us get new ideas. It helps just inspire us. And I think personal development is one of the easiest things to overlook, but it's also one of the number one things when you talk to when you hear top coaches talk about what made a huge difference in their business. So many of them say personal development. So don't skip this one, even though it seems like it's one of the easiest ones to skip. It's not less important than you actually having results pictures. I would say that they're equally important. And then the last one is recognition. So recognize people in your newsfeeds. Recognize people for different accomplishment. Recognize your coaches. Recognize your challengers. Recognize, when you're scrolling on Facebook, recognize people's outfits. I think recognition goes so much further than just recognizing us in the coach community. That recognize everyone and everything. Celebrate every success, every obstacle that we overcome. Recognize it. And then when you're talking about protecting your momentum, I just have a couple points where once you gain it, you need to protect your momentum. Don't slow down. Don't stop. Like I mentioned earlier about that analogy that I heard about you pumping your water. Don't stop pumping the well. Continue to pump. Continue to go full force. I think sometimes we gain so much momentum because we're pushing towards a really big goal. And once we hit that goal, we slow down. We pull back. We start missing our power hours. Don't do it. continue to go forward. Communicate with your spouse or your roommate or your friend about this goal, about this, like your goal in your business, about how important your power hour is, and then respect it as a business building time, right? Treat it like you're building your business. And so prioritize it. Don't skip it. Don't half do it. Don't do it while you're distracted. Just sit down, bang it out, and then get back to the rest of your life. Another thing is do personal development every single day to stay motivated. Again, treat your business like a business. And then last, just continue to stay consistent. Do your 4 vital behaviors, do your power hour, and then continue to stay consistent. So that was my portion of the talk, and then Kim's going to kind of follow it up and hit the home run out of the park by talking about how we schedule our month to set us up for success, to gain momentum in our business, and to continue having the momentum in our business.
Yay, so late.
That's okay.
Working on that. Hi, gals. So I won't keep you very much longer because we are trying to stay on time, and I want to make sure we have time for questions. So one of the ways I think that I learned this like super late in my business, and I feel like it kind of once it clicked, it like really made sense. But kind of the way you think of your month is you want to have a challenge group starting within the first 2 weeks of your month. So then that way you're kind of pushing at the back end of the month, and then you're pushing at the beginning of the month in order to kind of hit Success Club. And so during those slow seasons, if you can lock in that Success Club 5, at the end of the day, that at least just keeps your business moving forward. It keeps you, making sure that you're moving, you have the momentum and the energy and whatever else that you need that keeps you fired up. That works well, especially because then if you do sell a couple of challenge packs at the end of the month going into that first 2 weeks, then that's just kind of icing on the cake. So if you're gearing up and you've got your challenge group starting, and maybe your prep week starts around like the 5th, and then your group starts around the 12th. That way, when you're looking at your coaches, when you're looking at your challengers, the people who are in your group, I feel like that's where you find your best coaches. Like those are the ones that you're like, oh yeah, you're a coach, and you're reaching out to them and you're like, you know what, you could totally do this. Then you can quickly invite them to the sneak peek that we're having at the end of the month. So it kind of streamlines together. Plus then you start pushing your coaching posts kind of near the end of the month to invite people to that. And more so if you're running a fitness page, this is where boosting those 2 posts would be great. So you would push your challenge group post kind of from the last week of the month to like the 10th, and then you would begin your coaching post, so maybe you're spending $50 a month if that's something that you are doing in your business. Or not, maybe you aren't, but that's kind of how you can plan. And it really does help, I think, you push yourself forward if you know exactly what's to come. So then, like, I know by the middle of the month, I'm going to start thinking about what I want for my challenge group to be for the next month. So that way it's not like, oh, it's starting next week and I'm not ready at all. And I don't have the page launched and I don't have any idea what it's going to be called, and I don't even really know what I'm talking about, and it kind of shows on what you're doing. But if you've already got this idea, then you become passionate about it, and then all of a sudden it's so much easier to talk about in your post. So that's kind of I would love to say that there's some secret sauce to it, but that's pretty much the simplest form of how I organize my month. And then of course if something pops up, like a different kind of like I know we're going to have Core de Force popping up. So like I might run a special of just that, just kind of like we're doing Country Heat. So just like a group dedicated to that if we feel like it, basically. But yeah, I think that's all I kind of had. I didn't have much tonight. I'm floating on air fumes here, so.
I know, that's why I figured it was okay if I went a little bit longer.
Yeah. You played me well. My friend.
Yeah.
But we can ask questions now, and then if there's more, we can go from there.
Any questions? No?
I don't think so. I don't have any.
All right.
Well, also, feel free to either put in our group page or message us individually if you guys have ideas of topics that you guys would want us to talk about in the future on our team or on our team calls. Because Kim and I just come up with these ideas, and I know I was talking to some of my coaches a little earlier about what they would like to hear about. So we're definitely open to anything that you guys would want to hear about. Otherwise, we just pick stuff that we think you'd want to hear about, and we hope that it's helpful.
This was helpful.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. So again, if you guys have any questions or if you think of any questions later on, feel free to reach out to either one of us. We're always happy to answer your questions. And I hope that you guys have such a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Do you want a picture? Anybody need a picture for a Women Crush Wednesday?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Are you ready?
Yeah. The time, tell me when to smile.
I will. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, done.
All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for coming.
Yes, thank you
for hosting.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.